I just kind of realized recently that life is really about learning and unlearning things. And because about a year ago I was in a pretty bad situation with my ex-girlfriend. And she had a different belief than I did. And I had a different belief than her because we're human. All of us, even though, we're different. We're all different. And also, people change with time. I've learned to accept that. But it's more of the fact that we're all just learning and unlearning things. After I got broken up with, I learned how to be my own person. I learned how to love myself and how to fill the void that I had in here. How to fill my own void. Because if you're constantly relying on someone else, or you're outsourcing your happiness, that's not inside of you. And I learned that shit gets rough. Shit really does get rough. And I learned to get my mind away from that, and I learned how to love myself. I started working out because I felt like shit. I wanted to love myself, so I started working out. I started meditating, started being more mindful, and I was learning how to control my urges and self-control. As I said, life is about learning and unlearning things, and I went through this way of unlearning that. I think that it started with football. I played football my senior year. I'm still a senior in high school, by the way, but I'm probably gonna watch this in the future. So, I played football my senior year, and I started getting sloppy. I started getting really tired, and I didn't, because practices were grueling. I started getting sloppy, and then. That was summer. But then the beginning of the year starts. Oh, there's a bird. Oh, that's the cutest thing I've ever seen. Oh, he's just skipping around. Oh, that was so cute. He just said hi. Okay. But yeah, what the fuck was I talking about? Yeah. Life is about learning and unlearning things. And I unlearned how to love myself. I started getting interested in girls after football, when the year started. And I started to slip out of it. I started trying to be accepted by other girls, and when I finally did, it felt great. It felt exciting. It felt amazing. Oh my God, the feeling of getting into a relationship, it feels so good for the first 3 months, usually, because that's how it, the honeymoon phase. But until it didn't go well, until I realized that I was I was using her, not necessarily using her, but she was my source of happiness, my only source of happiness. I wasn't going out into nature, and I wasn't meditating anymore, and I was working out because I kind of made that, a part of my routine. But I wasn't doing any of the things that I loved. Like you really, when you're in a relationship, you got to learn how to fill your own bucket at the same time as filling the other person's bucket. You got to have some balance to that, because if you're not filling your own bucket, then most likely you're giving it all to her. And you're giving it all to her every day, giving her all my energy, because that's how she's gonna love me. Give her all my energy. But I realized that's just not how it works. That's really just not how it works. Over time, I was giving her all my energy. Every single day I was giving her my energy. And all it really did was just put a lot of pressure on her. It made her really anxious. It made her cry, because I thought if I gave her all of my energy, 24/7, if I was worried about her all the time, if I, every little thing, and I try to fix all the little things, everything in her life. But I realized that, that's not what she wants. That is literally the opposite of what she wants. She tells me something, and then I try to fix it, because I feel like that's my responsibility. I make it my responsibility. I make her feelings my feelings, But I realized that I don't have to feel what she's feeling. I really don't have to feel what she's feeling. Because, I kind of trapped myself like that. I got to the point where I cared about her so much. Where I wanted to feel the way she was feeling. I would bring myself down to that level, or up to that level. Like on days where she was happy and vibrant, and I was at the top. I felt like I was at the peak of a mountain. But when she was anxious and stressed and feeling just down, I would fall off that mountain. A rock would fall, and I would fucking tumble down, and fucking world would just crumble. But I learned. I'm relearning how to love myself again, because, as I said, life is about learning and unlearning things. And right now, I'm on my journey to love myself again. I'm out in nature, which is, what I love to do. I really love to do that. I started playing tennis again, even though it's this fucking cold, I got a few friends that play tennis. It's pretty fun. And it's really just, stop doing the shit that you were doing before. If you lost yourself and you don't know how to regain that sense of self that you had. You know, how to feel worthy again. You know, how to have that feeling that, you know, that the feeling that that void is filled. You're not relying on other people to for your happiness anymore. So you know, you gotta do the complete opposite thing that you were doing before. You know, if you were sitting inside, playing video games all day, man, go touch some grass. You know, go ride your bike. Go to the playground and go out to nature and look at the sky. And man, I had a little baby cousin, right? I was over at their house, right? And he got in trouble. You know, he got a little ass whooping, and they took his tablet away, right? And mind you, this kid is like, he's an athlete. You know, he's like 9 years old, but man, he's fucking good, dude. Like, so he's an athlete, right? But he's also an iPad kid at the same time, surprisingly. And he just play Madden on his iPad all day, and but he got grounded, and they took his iPad away, and I literally watched this kid go outside and interact with the world. Like I saw, like, man, it broke my heart, man. Like I saw this kid touch it. Like he literally went up to a tree and started like peeling the bark off of it. Like man, that shit broke my heart, man. That, you get so sucked into the ins and outs of life that you forget to love yourself, man. You gotta love yourself. You gotta give yourself the same love that you give to other people, because without loving yourself, you don't have any love to give. If you don't give any of that to yourself, what do you have to give to the rest of the world? You know? How can you influence the rest of the world if your energy is poisoned? You know? I'm gonna let y'all meditate on it. Okay. I gotta get home. I'm about to go to the gym and probably eat something. I don't know what, but I'll make something to eat. But yeah, I'm gonna let y'all meditate on it. I'm gonna let y'all, sit on it. And yeah, I'll see y'all.